Hey, everybody. I'm Rob Nelson. He's Judd Dunning.
I'm Judd Dunning. Thank you, Rob.
And I'm Rob Nelson. And this is episode 2 of Talking Smack.
Technically episode 3, because we did it on our iPhones. A bunch of people loved it, and here we are.
Right. And first one. So we originally called the show Talking Smack over mac and cheese, and we had mac and cheese. We're going to change the food every week. So now we're thinking we're just going to call it Talking Smack. And each week it's over whatever food we have, because we're going to have that food anyway. That way we can have cool pictures of the food, right? That was Judd's brilliant idea. So if you hate it, you know, it wasn't my idea. If you love it, yeah, I definitely probably help make it.
Stay for the food, stay for the politics. Better chance of having a dialectic between a conservative and independent, where people actually stay on the channel.
Right. I believe if people just got together over food and talked, everything would be better in the world. Even if you disagreed with each other, you break bread, something good happens.
Yeah, and shout out to the vegans, because California conservative vegan. It's kind of
All right. On that note, let's shout out to the meat eaters. So Judd, you want to present your gourmet vegan?
Wait, I think we should. We're doing this on the fly. I say this: let's say what we're going to talk about, then let's do the food, and then let's have our argument and eat our food.
No, let's just talk about our food, and then people can
right into the food.
You're not into our food. We'll get to the issues. You don't sit down at dinner to break bread and go, let's set up the agenda before let's get the food out.
I'm hungry. Okay, go.
All right, so I went pretty simple, Judd. Now I'll be honest. Go ahead. You told me the best hot dog out there was a Hebrew National.
Well, no, I told you. You're going to try to get – this is a gotcha question, audience.
Hey, you're the one that said Hebrew National.
I sent Rob information, said you might say this. He goes, well, I'm not going to say that. That's not authentic. What are you planning everything? So, 10-year Fox talk show host Rob Nelson is smacking me down at the beginning of the show again.
You did say Hebrew hot dogs.
Okay, so I told him Hebrew was good. And he said, no, he's going to give his own. Then I'm going to tell you, hot dogs are a serious conversation, man. This is a very
I get it. And by the way, Hebrew hot dogs are all good. You're Jewish, right? So that's why you came. You defaulted to the Hebrew hot dog.
No, I'm Judeo-Christian. I'd probably be a Jew for Jesus. I was raised Christian. I have Jewish kids. I go to both.
Okay, whatever. Hebrew hot dogs are in your house. I actually believe, and I don't have it because you're far away. The best hot dog. Here's my hot dog. It's coming up. The best hot dog is actually. You get it in Milwaukee at Miller Park. At Miller Park, the Brewers Stadium. You go to Miller Park, and it is like, Dodger dogs are nothing in LA. You LA people, Dodger dogs are like, eh. Like, you get a hot dog at Miller Park. Wisconsin's the home of sausages. Ussinger's, like the best sausages, the best brats, the best hot dogs. You go, it's gourmet, but I can't get that out here. So, I have to settle for the Circle K hot dog.
Circle K. That was closest to your studio.
No, listen, I'm not going to lie. I actually wanted to go get a DQ hot dog, a Dairy Queen chili dog.
Yeah.
But it was too far away, and I was worried about time getting back. So I was like, I'm a guy on the go, and I'm not going to lie. I stop at 7-Eleven and Circle K, and I get these are like $1.25 hot dogs. And you see here, I have a nice hot dog. I put some ketchup on it. It's not about the name brand, right? I put a little ketchup on. We have a little mustard pack. See that? Mustard pack?
That was relish. That's right. Yes.
No, this is the mustard right here. Mustard pack. See that? Look, it's already looking delish. Then you can do this in the car. You can do this in the car. You can
dangerously. Dangerously.
You can do it on air.
It's a test, right? It's like it should be on a 16-year-old's driving test. I want you to dress your hot dog and take a left turn.
Right, that's a great test thing, right? They should do it on the presidential debates. In between questions, can you prepare your hot dog?
That's true.
For the viewing eyes. And we put a little relish on. It's sweet relish. I prefer not. And then this looks delicious, everybody. Take a look at that. Come on. I go full screen for 1 second, Crafty, just to show my hot dog. Just for a sec. There, look at that. Come on. Good. Okay, take a bite.
Yeah.
Delicious. Thank you. All right, Jub.
Oh, that's it. That's our presentation. Well, I want to say this: hot dogs are actually interesting, right? Because when you,
I got a spare.
Don't go all Hunter Biden on us. All right.
He went there.
So listen,
we're going to talk.
Go look at the laptop photo. I want to keep moving on. So listen, man, hot dogs are actually interesting because you think about it. Any culture has something like there's Mexican food. There would be, the corn tortilla, the beans, the rice. In America, the hot dog or the hamburger, right? So technically it's bread, right? It's protein, it's vegetables. It's just how it's done. And now, to be honest, it's not, that's the hot dog of yesteryear, which is still good. But hot dogs are a totally common store. You can get amazing hot dogs. There's all these great places to go. Our classics are Pink Dodger dogs are a straight run to the Alka-Seltzer tablet in America. They make me so sick. But so here we go, back to my vegan thing. So I was a lifeline. So I am eating today the field roast grain meat. Field roast. They make it look like it is the vegan corn dog miniature. So what you do is you take the Dijon, because you are not a simpleton, and you take your Dijon, you put it in I don't know why it's French, has to do with corn dog. It's French fries, but they're not from France. It's not French hot dogs. And then you take your, you see it's got a little mini dog in there, right? Take your mini dog. And dude, I have to tell you, the Impossible Burger and the fake meat that's coming out right now is insane. There's no cholesterol, no heart problems.
Judd, I have to say, your vegan fake meat, your fake meat food, and I'm not knocking vegans. Yeah, your fake meat food. Let me just give you an example. That's what we have right now in politics, where I think we have sort of a fake. I'm now bought into the fake media. I resisted for a while, but we have fake news because it's not real, and we have fake candidates. Like Joe Biden is like the fake candidate. He's like the vegan version of a real hot dog because he's not actually really what he says. And what he was, he doesn't pretend to be anymore. He's sort of whatever people want him to be, and he doesn't have to say anything, and people simply project that he's like going to be this awesome, charismatic, powerful, visionary leader. And then he gets up there and it's like creepy old grandpa on the stage. And I'm not knocking him because he's a Democrat. I'm just saying, it's like Mitch McConnell, like he and Mitch McConnell are like clones of each other. And I'm literally going, wow, like we are like in the puppet candidate era where people don't even, and this is getting to something you care about, Judd, which is that people don't seem to really care about what's true. They just care about what they want. It's like fast food. It's like Circle K hot dogs.
Yeah, well, I'd say Circle K hot dogs are the bread and butter. I want to just say this interesting fact. America, you hear all this talk about veganism and vegetarianism. Just little fact, and getting rid of cows and climate change. And I'll pivot back to Joe. But 96% of Americans eat meat and have no desire to be vegetarian. 4% are vegetarian, and like less than 1% are vegan. So it's kind of a California hand job fantasy. I'm sorry. It's like, oh, we're going to change the world. And
is this you spinning around like they do on the debate stage? Like ask the question, and by the time you get done with the answer, the question sort of went away. No,
I said I'd pivot right back. And there's a point about this. So fake meat, real meat is kind of where you went. Fake burgers. And I want to say is, most people just like it right down the middle, regular meat eaters. Most people are honest. Trump did a great job by calling out fake news this last year. It wasn't this last few years. He brought fake news to the forefront. So we started looking at news with what is right, what is wrong, what is true. But now with candidacies like Joe, like you're saying, nobody seems to care about the Hunter Biden emails. Nobody seems to care about the Chinese potential ownership of a company for influence. No one cares to say with the bullying of the AG in order for his son to be bribed through in order to get the $1 billion. No, they also released supporting tapes the last couple of days. People are coming out. 50 million Americans are voting early before they even watch the debate. So my point when I called up Rob was fake meat, real meat, hot dogs, whatever is when did people stop caring about the facts before they made the decision for presidency? And I think that's a crisis.
And look, I take on two fronts there. I don't think voting early is a sign that you don't care about the facts. But I do think you're right that people have stopped. People no longer care about the facts. And here's a sad truth. I don't think it would matter to most voters if Joe Biden came out and said, I did do it. I did know about it. I don't think he necessarily took money, but like, of course I knew what my son was doing. And yeah, he brought people to me. Like, I think people would be like, okay, not a shocker. I don't think the facts actually matter to what people want in terms of their outcome. I don't have a problem with early voting. Where I have a problem, Judd, excuse me for coughing. Where I have a problem is that, and by the way, Judd, I'm going to let you respond before I do the thing about the emails. I think you're right. Trump called out fake news, but let's be honest. Trump is fake news too. I mean, Trump makes stuff up all the time. And if the news says something he doesn't like, it's fake news. That's not what I mean by fake news. Fake news isn't whenever, you say something and, Trump doesn't like it, so it's fake news. Fake news is literally when they refuse. Fake news is we will not cover the Hunter Biden story because we say it's been disproved. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, Hunter Biden clearly is hired by a big holding company, Burisma, in the Ukraine, and used it to influence peddle them to his father. Not a shocker. That's what nepotism is. That's what people do. He just denies it and his father denies it. Now there's emails showing it. So again, Judd, my issue with the whole Burisma thing, Judd, can you come back up with me? I feel alone up here. My issue with I found without you. My issue with the whole thing is that the media said it's already been done. So the fact that it came out again, they don't care. Secondly, then Hunter Biden's business partner comes out and doing like a SNL Chris Farley like skit, tie askew, shirt back, in a Marriott like suite with no podium and a chair and phones on it. And they dismiss that. That's a credible allegation, even if he's lying. And then the FBI wants to interview him, and the media still says it's not a story. Now, when the FBI is asking to interview the partner, the former business partner of the son of the vice president of the United States who's running for the presidency, and to seize the phone devices that partner has, that's news. Whether you want to say it's true what he's accusing, it is news. And the media is like, not a story, not a story. CNN refused to even put it on their feed. That is not only fake news, that is censorship at a whole new level.
Yeah, I would say that in defense of Trump, and it really bothers me when people say, oh, you just think Trump does everything right. Look, man, when they were going down the Mueller investigation, or they were going into impeachment, everybody was watching. Everybody assumes that, we gave Trump a pass. Actually, the allegation's lost. In our country, we have due process. You are innocent until proven guilty. If the system is failing to prove Trump guilty, that's not Trump's fault. That's the system's fault. And the system, with tons of money, has not proven him guilty. So moral relativism and moral absolutism is what we said the show was really about. So what is moral absolutism? That means that good and bad exist beyond a veil of the divine as good and bad.
Wow, you lost me, Deborah. Keep going.
What's that?
You just went whoo-hoo, but that's okay.
But this is what it's about, Rob. I'm going to argue with this is what's really what it's about. Moral relativism is that, well, if it's true for this person, it's true and it's good or bad for that person. But for this person, it's good or bad because it's relative to who the person is.
Right.
So right now, Trump's being held to a high standard, and they say Joe is the least scrutinized candidate in American history. So that's a problem for me, and that's that concerns me more than Biden getting in.
And listen, let me pick up. And again, Judd, I want to come back to the fact that it pisses me off that you'll keep making the fact that Trump got persecuted by the media, which he did. The fact doesn't, and that there is a moral relativism, as you put it, which everybody, what I translate that to mean is what Judd's basically, in my mind, you're saying, Judd, is that it's simple as a double standard. You're holding one person to one standard. And if Donald Trump Jr. former business partner had come out and said, I have evidence of emails showing, that we were going to get into the president, it would have been national news, even if he just said it 24/7. If he then said the information's on these phones, it would have been national news. No matter how bad his relationship with Don Jr. was at that point, it would have been national news. And when the FBI shows up to investigate, they would have literally run it 24/7 till the election. So if that's the moral relativism you're talking about, Judd, I agree. But let's not pretend the president doesn't distort facts himself, because he doesn't. It doesn't help him in my mind.
Why are you even going to Trump when what we're talking about is Biden? That's the problem with our society right now. It's like, but Trump, but Obama. I could do that as well. I'm just saying that is the disease. That is the disease right now. It's like, hey, Look, if Tulsi Gabbard was running, I like Trump a lot. I wanted a disruptor. I got a disruptor. I'm very pleased with what he's shocked to the system. I want 4 more years of that. That's a simple explanation. I'm not a racist. And if you think I am, you can go to hell. It has nothing to do. I don't even really care. I don't care what anyone thinks about my moral judgment because I support a disruptive force to the recalcitrant Washington. I wanted that. I got it. I'm really happy with it. But if Tulsi Gabbard, if the left, hold on, Rob, if the left had generated a good candidate, I would have looked at that candidate with open eyes. I'm not a blind conservative. But Biden is the worst of all. He didn't have a career before Obama saved him. Obama needed an old white guy to sit on his side to push his ticket through, who had no power that he could use. That was Biden. He doesn't have anything significant in his history. He's not strong. He's not interesting. And you know what? You kind of glossed over. I've been digging into those emails. I've been digging into the reports. It looks pretty bad. It looks like he took part of a company for influence. It looks like he shut down for it. It looks like he also tried to bury the information on the Ukraine before Trump got in so he would be okay. We're seeing more and more duplicity. Okay. So while Nixon was thrown out of office, why today in 2020 does this not matter? And why are people like, hey, I want to pull back my vote? Hold on. What's this information? Right. That's the question.
Right. Listen, everybody, if you're getting worked up, just relax and have a bite of this is actually a sausage. This is a sausage from Circle K. It's not a hot dog. It's a Gouda sausage. Not as good as Ussinger's at Miller Park. Not even close.
What was that last comment that we just got? I was just
I liked
that thought. A disruptive force.
Yeah. So listen, Trump was a disruptive force, and Judd is not a racist. You know, he just looks like one on TV. No, I'm kidding. But you know what? I'm saying that because
some of my best friends are white people. Wait a minute. No, wrong. I'm kidding.
That's exactly what we've come to as a society, though. If people typecast you, they do based on what you look like and based on what you affiliate with. So you're not affiliating with any group or any organization that is extremist or white supremacist or anything like that. But you're super conservative. You're willing to call out the left. You're willing to call out what you think of as leftism. And you have the spiky hair and the narrow features and the white face. And people go, "Oh, he's a conservative racist." And they go there and they do the same thing with a black person and put them. So if you're a black Republican, like Joe Collins, who came on my show last week, people look at him and they go, "Oh, they box you one way or the other. Either they assume you can't."
Sorry, I got the host.
You can't be a conservative if you look a certain way, or you must be if you look a certain way. And if you have certain ideas, regardless of if your ideas have nothing to do with the extremism they attach you to, because you say I'm a conservative, I support Trump, they label you as the next level, racist, homophobic.
Yeah, let me jump into. Hey, Rob, how about this? We're talking about moral relative. So it's come to light that a bunch of kids during the elections have been separated from their parents at the border. Now, first of all, that program was established by the previous administration. It's been around for some time. So it is what it is. There's a certain law to it. They actually backed off the restrictions, and now they're trying to mitigate how parents are being separated. A lot of these parents are actually bailing on their kids and leaving, right? But it's still illegal to come into our nation. Right now, a few hundred kids are suffering. That's a bad thing. That is a bad thing. And moral absolutist, it is bad for kids to be separated from their parents. Good thing is it's still illegal to come into the United States of America. We don't have open borders. There's reasons for security. There's reason for viruses. There's reason for economics. A country has to maintain its populace, just like a stream of trout can't have suddenly a big catfish come in. We actually watch our herd. It's just part of biology. We have to watch ourselves. And, everyone's like, oh, this is the Trump administration's racist. It's bad. But the administration has had, the last couple of administrations have very aggressive deportation policies. Actually, Obama was a deporter in chief.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
This is the issue of the week. And Biden is blameless. And Biden was beside Obama during all his heavy deportation. And America, what is this, soundbite America? Are we doubling down that bad that people are going to grab sound bites?
Look, we are. And just a quick thing on that again. And I'm not trying to be the relativist here. You put that label on me. But I simply think
I'm not putting it on you.
No, I agree with everything you said, by the way. And I've said it before. Like if you watch back, Bill Clinton and Obama sounded way more harsh about, Bill Clinton got a standing ovation at the State of the Union when he said, we are closing our borders. It's not okay for people to just come on over. Standing ovation, both parties. So Trump's policy is not really any worse than what came before. But I will say this, Judd, Trump's rhetoric is intentional. He's not stupid, and he does do it to race bait to some extent. Well,
what would you say?
I'm not in his head. But no, come on. We got a rapist.
Show me race baiting.
No, I know that's not. I know, but I'm saying he's not stupid. So I mean, sometimes he says things you're like, really? But
I don't think he's racist, Rob. I mean, I've really looked. Racism.
I don't think he's a racist.
Bigotry is the ultimate act of violence. And if you look back to his history with all the people that the awards he's won,
Judge?
Did his father discriminate as a businessman? Did his father discriminate on profiles with renters? I think that happened.
Judge.
A weird, violent time.
Judge.
That's when Joe Biden said super predators.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
yes.
the lower class ethnic Americans were caught in such desperate economic times that walls and perceptions were being put up in that era. Did Trump cross that line? Yes.
You're missing.
Hold on, let me just say something. When he went to North Virginia, did he support KKK? No. Read the entire transcript. He said people that defend statues on both sides are good people because it's a serious issue. It was taken out of context and it was abused. I still have not seen when he said Mexicans are rapists and drug dealers. He's talking about if you look in LA, there's a massive crime wave of like 76% of Latin drug fueled problems coming from.
Okay, Judd, let me get a word in edgewise. I hear you, and it's not my point. And why I'm frustrated is,
but you're throwing out racism a lot.
No, I didn't call Trump a racist. I said his language, his rhetoric, race-based. Hold on. Let me finish for a second. Thank you. Love you. Take a bite of your hot dog. Take a bite of it. You need meat. Enough of the vegan stuff. You got to eat meat to calm down.
No, I just want to say one thing and then go. Your points you're making are so important to your side. And my point is
side. I don't have a side. Here's my point. Because I actually agree with the policy. So I can agree with a policy, and I am tired of Trump supporters defending Trump no matter what. I was happy he got elected president too. I wanted a disruptor. I wanted someone who would attack every single institution in Washington, including the intelligence community. I've worked in the White House. I worked for Bill Clinton. I know how tight that world is. I know how deep Washington is. You can hate the word deep state. There is a deep, deep rooted institution in Washington that does not want to be unrooted. And it's in both parties. It's in both houses of Congress. It goes throughout the administration, in every department, up and down. But if you want to stop immigration coming over the borders, you can either say we got a bunch of rapists and drug dealers coming in. There's truth that is happening. Or you can say, I support a healthy legal integration. And I even understand why people want to come in illegally. And we've got a lot of illegal immigrants in this country, and I'm not going to send them all back. That's ridiculous. You've got millions of people living here, working here, raising families here. But we have to have some order, and a whole lot of people are trying to come over that border because we're promising them everything, and their countries aren't taking care of them. And they're also sending people in who are really like bad elements. There are drug dealers, and there are, it's a human trafficking. And in the best interest of all people, I want to do this in the right way, a compassionate, honest way. But I am not opening my border up for anyone to come running over. But I am also not kicking everybody out. And do not call me a racist, because I also say there are bad elements coming over too, and you don't want those bad elements in your neighborhood. You can say what I just said, and you don't sound like a racist. Or you can say you want those borders open, you want the drug dealers and rapists coming over. You just discredit the bigger argument. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's complicated. I think that
I agree with you about the.
No, I appreciate that. I'd say what we're going. They talk about critical race theory, and then they go all the way back to the 1619 Project. And what we're doing is there's a real attack on rewriting American history. I mean, now Columbus Day is Indigenous Day. We're in a phase in our culture where the meta conversation is to heal our past to slavery again, walk the fine line of reparations, and then you get into the difficult question of, is America equal opportunity or is it an equal outcome? And so we all would love equal outcome, but it's not the reality of life. So we're getting some history written and a lot of fingers are being pointed. So there's something happening right now. I'm a long-term guy. I think this crisis is a positive crisis, just like Me Too was a positive crisis, this race crisis, because we're all a little bit more conscious of what we're saying, and we are healing things, and cops are becoming more aware. I don't think anybody on the right would say, hey, this was a good crisis. I just would say that it reminds me of anti-Semitism, Rob. It's almost like for some reason in the consciousness, Jews have been targeted for so many years on a cultural level to kind of take the hit for the fact that they brought a higher standard. The Ten Commandments are, ethical monotheism, or like take the high road no matter what. So Trump comes out and he says, hey, we're all great. Well, if you're not feeling great, suddenly everybody who doesn't feel great is a victim to this conversation. So we start targeting the guy that's saying, hey, we're great, we're great, we're great. And everyone's like, well, wait, we're not fair. And so racism has become the du jour of this.
I understand, but there is, and it's a whole nother talking smack.
It is, though, right? Because it is something in the
Let's do the next one. We'll deal with racism, because racism is abused as a word. It's misused.
Yeah.
Stereotyping is considered racism. Everybody stereotypes. Look, I'm in Jacksonville. I'm doing this big town hall on Wednesday. We're bringing elements of the whole community together. The simple idea. Bring together the rich, the poor, the black, the white, the cops, the BLM activists, city leaders, worship leaders. Put them all in together and have a real dialogue. And the point is, you leave your politics at the door. You got to listen and communicate with people you don't agree with. Because if we don't have dialogue, we don't go anywhere. And in the last few weeks, putting this together, we've seen people coming together in these small gatherings. And we're having these conversations, Judd. And you'd be shocked, because this is where CNN and Fox News both missed the boat. You'd be shocked how much the stuff you're talking about gets brought up, a little maybe less esoterically, but and that's not a dig at you. I just mean a little more down to the core. But I'm talking to black urban inner city leaders, and they're going, look, I'm not sure you can stop trying to get social acceptance. Stop trying to ask for equality. Let's just ask for the stakes we need to play at the table and make it a case for good investment. You got people saying we have to clean up our own community. We have to take responsibility for the lack of men in the community. We have to take responsibility for how many young men get into prison, even if there is systemic bias out there. So the dialogue isn't one way or the other. It just gets put that way in the media. And what scares me, and this is my last thought on this, and then you get to go, Judd, talk, not leave, is that I think what's happening in terms of the censorship on media platforms and the complete and utter one-sidedness of most of the media is that we are entering a period where we are fundamentally eliminating room for people to have honest dialogue or take real perspectives. If you do not fit in the box we have decided you will fit in, and you do not say what we want said, we will say it didn't happen. If we don't like it, we'll ignore it, or worse, we will cut off your ability to communicate. And what's scary is Twitter, Facebook, they can, because if you're honest about it, they're private companies. They are allowed to censor what they want, but that's not a good thing when you have that much control and you suddenly have the ability to simply silence voices you don't want. And my takeaway is that if Donald Trump doesn't become president, if Joe Biden wins, this is a twist. It will be the most disruptive thing that has happened in America, because if he wins and they lock that thing in, I think half the country that does not want to be censored, that does not agree, is going to revolt in a certain way, and we're going to have a cultural civil war like we've never seen. Oddly enough, Donald Trump winning would kind of be a stabilizing force, keeping both sides in a battle. Biden winning.
Yeah, it's a great point, Rob. Well put. I was wondering if we were going to come back to that. That's exactly where I wanted to go. Is what's happening with big tech and the media is interesting as far as Section 230 and the antitrust laws. How do we, if people are getting morally relative, where they're not caring about the facts and they're making decisions on sound bites and manipulated algorithms, manipulated and silenced information, what is the next step? So there are a series of articles that said the Republicans were definitely going to go for antitrust, and they were definitely going to go for Section 230, but what if Democrats won? But actually, Democrats, once you give them a bigger government control over a sector, they say it could be worse for big tech, because it depends now who gets bribed. So the question we have to ask is, who's willing to be bribed more on the right or the left? So if Democrats are harder on social media, but they're willing to take, payola, if Republicans, because they're bringing in a high level advisory board to Facebook. I don't know if you've been reading about this, that they're going to start looking at how they're censoring. These are some big leaders all over the world.
Right.
So how are we going to do it? Now, if we open up personal liability in Section 230, though.
Oh, no, come on. You're going to dig me so in the weeds. Come on. Give me the simple version.
No, if we open up Section 230 liability, what if you were liable for what you said on the air? It's a slippery slope. I'd rather have the chaos of manipulated information than have people out there manipulating the freedom of the press.
I'm with you. I'd rather have manipulated information out there too, and I don't think the platform should be deciding what is or isn't true. But they've gone past deciding what is or isn't true.
They're interfering with the election.
They've gone to the point of saying, we don't care if something's true. We don't want it out there, so we're going to make up another excuse. That's the Hunter Biden stuff. Nobody said it wasn't true. They just said it wasn't obtained fairly, like any other information was ever obtained fairly. I mean, the Pentagon Papers, went to the Supreme Court over the New York Times getting information. That half of the stuff that we find out is because someone got it the wrong way. So they're censoring the very ability to have content out there they don't agree with. In terms of who gets bribed more easily, Republicans or Democrats, I say that's like which is worse or better, a Circle K hot dog or a Circle K Gouda smoked sausage.
Yeah.
No real difference. They're not.
Corner and just tell you can eat any meat that tastes as good without the cancer and without the colon problems. So, man, I think, look.
That doesn't fit your far right, borderline racist. Judd is not a racist. I've known Judd a long time. I joke about it. I want to be clear. I joke about it because sometimes we have to laugh a little because we're so uptight. But Judd is not a racist. Judd, let's talk.
Stop that. People are going to be like, Judd is not, and then eventually the is not is going to follow, and they're going to go, Judd racist. Be careful, man. Be careful.
Right. You say it enough. I come not to bury Caesar, but to praise Caesar.
I want to throw this to you.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the manipulation of information. So something that came up during this week's debates was climate change and big oil and energy, right? Now, when I went back, when we wrote our book, and just to say, Rob's got a great town hall coming up, everybody. Make sure to make that. We'll tell you more about that. I've got a book coming out through Newsmax in a couple weeks. When we wrote the book, we had to go back 13 pages into Google to find a contrarian opinion. And the deeper we went into the contrarian opinion, the more valid forks of substantiated different science that we found. So climate change was this existential threat, but right now it's not paying off to the Democrats. So you don't hear existential threat right now. All you're hearing is, are we pro-fracking? Are we not fracking? What are we going to do to green buildings, et cetera? Isn't that an interesting piece of information? It was the biggest topic for like a year. And now I'd say it's a third level topic. So right. What are your thoughts about how they're manipulating the information about the planet now? Did they really care in the first place?
I mean, I don't know. Look, I think information is always going to be manipulated. And at a certain level, you get so deep into things, you're going to lose people because we are a short attention span society. I'm not going to lie. So I think the true thought leaders are going to have to start figuring out how to package information in a way that's truthful and relevant, but doesn't lose people. And that's too bad. But our attention spans are going like this. I mean, even with really smart people because of all the inputs in social media. So I think that the media got on a trip. And look, it started with Al Gore and An Inconvenient Truth. And you remember when he did that like 20 years ago, whatever it was, the world was going to be at no turning point in 10 years. And now it's X number of years later, and we're at, still it's another 10 years. So they're always saying it. And I think part of the reality is, okay, we're gonna address Reddit, sexy toilet paper. What a name at Reddit. We'll get there in a second, sexy toilet paper. It's just weird to say that. Is that I lost my train of thought after reading that handle. It is ultimately that they scare people. And I think the reality is we all know that climate change is happening. I mean, I came from California. I mean, it's hotter than hell every summer. And this summer was beyond belief in the fires. Change is happening. Are we destroying the planet? Slowly and surely, yes. And if we don't make changes, we will screw the generation after us and the one after them at some point. But I think the media plays it as it's the existential crisis of our time. And in 10 years, we're all dead. And they said that 10 years ago, and we're on the road to dead. And that's just what they do. And people fall for it. People have always fallen for, end of the world, type stuff.
Climate change.
The answer you want.
Climate change
is real, Judd.
Climate change is the crisis fodder of socialistic advancement. There's so much governmental interference. I mean, look, all that Trump said is like, let's take care of the economy first. The planet's going to be okay. There are a lot of people that have actually studied its solar cycles. The hubris that we have to say that we are going to change and save this planet in 10 years is ridiculous. That's why I like Trump. He called that. If you want, hey, look, he said something on the stage the other night. It was so intelligent. He goes, hey, solar's not here yet. Wind is not here. That is, do you know how intelligent those statements are? If you analyze the cost benefit analysis, it was costing like $2.84 to create $1 green of profit. He came in and goes, hey, this isn't making sense yet. How do we help the planet in a rational way? And we're doing it through carbon emissions. We're doing it through energy.
All right. You don't have to make the case. I get it. We're not going to win these arguments. You're not going to convince climate change activists that climate change is not happening, and it is happening. You're not going to convince them that it's not as bad as it is, shouldn't be a priority, and they're not going to convince you. My point is, we need to start finding some common ground, and that's part of the problem. Like we're doing that here, but part of the problem is everybody insists on their camp being right, and it's like, I'm right, you're wrong, you're wrong, I'm right, you're right.
I'm sorry, I am right. $2.84 for $1.
You know what? I think the answer is in the middle. We are screwing the planet, and everybody's buying all their cell phones, their Apple phones, throwing them out.
Hey, Rob, on our new show, I just want to let all of our viewers know that Rob produced one show. We passionately love each other, but we agreed to argue, and I think this is really more important than just agreeing to agree with on the same topics. Let's come to this great question.
And then we'll wrap up after this. So, sexy toilet paper
question. Why don't you go first, and then I'll answer it because I'm obviously in the camp.
Why don't you give her? And we're pushing our time.
Okay. Yeah,
45 seconds.
Right now, I'll say this: sexy toilet paper. Right now, none of us are better off because even though the federal government tried to lead us out of this COVID situation, we've had like a 30% crash in our GDP. We're destroying generational wealth, but that's happening on the state and local levels. So even if you were feeling like you were heading in a positive direction, we've never seen this level of state and local mismanagement of you know how hard it is for the average person to put $10,000 away to start a business or send their kids to school. We've decimated wealth. So I'm unhappy as well. And I feel like Trump was handcuffed by all this vitriol that he could actually really lead in this situation. He has to get to the other side of the election to lead. So I think if you give him a chance on the other side of this, just like Reagan's supply side work blew up in the second 4. So if you understand economics, the second 4 years is where supply side theory really unwinds and an economy can explode. It takes about 4 years to turn the economy.
All right, Judd, can you give her a 10-second short answer? So the answer is the economy.
That's a pretty important statement.
It is. I feel like you're going on like, okay, she's asking people, sexy toilet paper. By the way, I assume you're a woman just by that name, and that's weird. I am thinking about it. I bet sexy toilet paper is a guy. Bet it's a guy. I don't know. You can tell us if you want, Reddit, but Reddit handle sexy toilet paper. But here's my thing. Excuse me. I think the reason why, I would say, I think, first of all, it's fair to be fed up with Trump. And as a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, Trump has done a lot of good things being a disruptor. And I argue with Judd about this all the time. He is not a unifier. He is an egomaniac. He cannot allow anyone to say anything about him or something he's done that is not, it is the best ever. And that is not a good quality. That's not just because he's attacked. He literally cannot. He cannot have the wife of a fallen serviceman who died overseas criticize him and not shoot back. He can't say, you can say whatever the heck you want about me. You can call me scum of the earth because your husband is dead and served at my direction, and I honor him and I honor you. He makes it about him. And that is not like, hey, sexy toilet paper, I was right, it's a guy. But here's why. Because if Joe Biden wins this election, if Trump wins, there will be a force continuing to try to disrupt the system that is so broken and locked. It won't be pretty. He won't be pretty. but it will keep disrupting. And Trump did give the economy growth like we've never seen, including growth in across the spectrum of minorities, Black men, women.
Keep it short.
Okay. No, I'm just saying. So there will be, you're fair enough, Judd. So the economy was trashed, not because of Trump. It was trashed because of COVID. And I hate when Democrats say Trump ruined the economy. It's like states like California, where I'm coming from, still stay locked down. Democratic policies on the economic side, especially in this pandemic, are disastrous. And Joe Biden will continue them and continue what I was saying, that cycle of an in lockstep with the media and the social platforms to suppress anything that can create a back and forth for change. That's why I think you still need Trump for 4 more years. And then 4 years after that, we need to get some fresh, really amazing, younger man or woman of whatever color who is going to go in there and unify us and stay driving forward, not be part of the system. That's my case. I want Trump to win because I can't take 4 years of what will happen with Biden and the media and them all being in a woohoo, and I won't be able to talk.
Oh, have you gone on the record to say that? No.
I just did.
You just did, yeah.
And it's not because I like Trump. So that's my answer to you.
That's a great question.
You got to wrap up. Go.
There's a great line going out. Why would I vote for Trump again? And it was like, because I want to support the Second Amendment, because I want to keep big tech out of free speech, because I like the unemployment numbers. You can go through. I like the fact that we redeemed our foreign policy and strength. So there's a number of reasons, like hate the man, vote, but ideology. And I'll end with this today. So we talked about moral relativism and absolutism. We talked about why people are double standard free pass. Really what you have to operate is an ideology. An ideology is a set of truisms of why you make the call. Know your ideology. Be intelligent about your ideology. And then you will get swept up in the sound bites, but then always look for the exception to the rule. Never take anything from face cover on the news. Hopefully we're having that kind of dialectic here. Is you have to go deeper now. So just keep digging your soul, and in your soul is your ideology.
Okay. I'm digging. and
it's true,
and
I like the question. What about a president with some Latin? I'm in.
I'm in for whatever. The truth is, we all bleed red, and I'm not the one saying that. The number of Black people who say that to me, we all bleed red, and we do, and we've got to stop the division. So, Sexy Toilet Paper and everybody else out there, let's try to identify less with our party. Let's try to be less Democrat, less Republican. Let's try to be more about what's best for America, and look at and listen to whatever side is offering their ideas, and look at it for that. We're so divided, so partisan. It's killing us, and we are heading for a cultural divide that it could have such long-term consequences for the freedom of thought and expression, which ultimately will lead to growth in this, and success in this country.
Well said, Rob. Rob, why don't you take us home with a little bit about your show and your town hall so that our viewers can get there.
Real quick, Rob Nelson Live, at Rob Nelson Live, do a weekly, twice a week show, streaming on all social platforms, Wednesdays and Fridays. We move the time a little bit, but it's somewhere around 6 to 7 Eastern, 7 to 8 Eastern time. Which is 4 to 5 Pacific time. It's super interactive. It's like this. And then and Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern time, I'm hosting a town hall in Jacksonville. We're streaming. We're doing it at a big church. We're going to have multiple cameras, the whole community brought together, not socially distanced. I mean, it's tricky even in Florida, bringing a huge group of people together, but we'll be safe about it. And having all the different voices, left, right, like I said, Black and white, cops, activists, have a real dialogue. And we're streaming it. So you guys can watch it on all social platforms. And I want people not here, share it, share at Rob Nelson Live so people can engage in a virtual conversation to start finding common ground.
You are a thought leader. You're a leader in the past, Rob. Your work on Fox was amazing. It's an honor to do the show with you. I'm really enjoying it. To all of our new fans that are coming, we're going to explore food and politics each week because you know what? Politics get a little boring. So let's talk about food as well. And I love food. So today we had mac and cheese. Now we did hot dogs. So
we'll take suggestions for next week.
Let us know. Tell us what you want us to cover. We're going to do different food each week. God bless you guys. God bless America. You can catch our show at Bullet Point Nation. I'll just leave with that. And I've got a book coming out, 13 and a half Reasons Why Not to Be a Liberal.com. You can see everything about our show and our book at bulletpointnation.com. Rob, thanks a lot for
buy Judd's book and then buy the sequel, which is going to be 13 and a half Reasons Why You Shouldn't Be a Liberal or a Conservative. Go independent.
Everybody wants that sample.
See you guys later.
Thanks a lot.